The show where I take my favorite shows and I rank them from 1 to 5 every week based off of 3 things. Story arc, and what's new gadgets, new gizmos, new villains, new heroes. Now, let's get to our shows this week, and they'll be Dragonball Super, The Flash, Arrow, Ash vs. Dead, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Supernatural, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow. Now, 4 shows won't make it this week. 4 shows won't make the cut. The other 5 will be our Titans this week. The other 5 will be our prime shows this week, and 1 will be the Titan of TV. Now, let's get to the 4 that didn't make it this week. Starting with Dragon Ball Super. Now, Dragon Ball Super started off real good this week, okay? It was a good episode, but in the last few weeks, the last month or so, Dragon Ball Super has had this up and downhill. Last week's episode was amazing. This week's episode, a little bit slower paced, okay? Last time, Trunks got the super power up. They're fighting Black Goku and Zamasu. And in the beginning of this episode, Trunks powers up and finds a way to distract them long enough for Goku and Vegeta and Bulma to get back to the past. When they get back to the past, Goku learns the evil containment wave, or the Mafuba. And other than that, not a whole lot happened this week. It was an okay episode. That's why I give it a 7.5 this week. And that just wasn't what it was last week. So, let's get to our next show that didn't make the cut this week, and that was The Flash. The Flash, the first 2 weeks of The Flash have been very chaotic, very odd, very out of the norm, and Barry keeps messing with the timeline. But for the first time in 3 weeks, Barry has stopped messing with time and is dealing with what's going on. So we're moving in a step forward in the right direction with The Flash. I gave The Flash an 8 this week. I felt like we're starting to get some more character development, especially with Barry starting to learn from his mistakes, starting to learn that, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to mess with time, Barry. Just saying. Jessie Quick got her powers this week. Magenta was on the show, so we got a new villain. We got Jessie Quick now getting her powers. Wally's upset that his hasn't kicked in yet, and Joe's trying to let him know that, hey, it could develop later or it couldn't develop at all. So get over it. So we're moving in the right direction with Flash, but still it's not doing as good as the other shows, and I'm really disappointed with the way Flash is going. So now let's get to the next Titan that didn't make the cut this week, and that was Supernatural. Supernatural was a stellar episode. It was a solid episode. I gave it an 8. This week, Dean's mom and Dean and Castiel finally get Sam. They finally take care of these British men of letters people. And we get a new Lucifer this week. Rick Springfield, the rock star, the singer, he'll be playing the devil from now on, or Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. But he's got this ongoing conflict with Crowley. So the overall episode was good, but we're not getting a whole lot of newness. Rowena showed up in the episode, and you got this nice little conflict going on there. But, like I said, not a whole lot's new. We had a little bit of character development. The story was good. not really breaking the mold here. Now, let's get to our last show that didn't make the cut this week, and that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I gave Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. an 8.5. I thought it did better than last week. I thought it stepped up its game and did better than the other 3 shows that didn't make the cut. And especially we got this Inhuman invasion going on. Ghost Rider and Quake are looking for Ghost Rider's brother, and they end up saving him from these gangster thugs that were trying to mess him up. And in the midst of all this crisis going on, they're popping up in multiple different spots all over the world. So in the end, Mai comes out of her coma. She's been in this like ghost sleep coma thing. So she came out of that, so that was good. And we're getting further, more develop, little bit by little bit. Little bit by little bit, we're getting more and more to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's really starting to heat up. And every week it's getting better, but it's one of those slow increases. So, now, let's get to Titan number 5 this week. Titan number 5 this week, surprisingly enough, was Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Now you're going to ask yourself, Spike, Flash, all these other shows, Flash and Dragon Ball, those are really good shows. How did they not make the cut, but Ash did? I'll tell you what. Number 1, Ash made number 5 this week because of the fact that we got more into one of Ash's friends, Ted Raimi, who you might have watched Hercules or Xena, Warrior Princess. He's been one of these characters that pops up on all these different shows. And he pops up as Chet, Ash's longtime partner in crime. So we get a new character added to the list. Also, at the end of last episode, last week, these kids ran off with the Delta and the Necronomicon. Well, in the midst of all this, through the whole episode, Ash and the gang are trying to figure out where the Necronomicon is and the Delta. On the other end of town, these kids, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're doing some crazy stuff in the car, and like one of them starts reading from the book, and then the book comes to life. And not the book comes to life. The car comes to life, and it's got like these red glaring lights, and it ends up running over a bunch of kids and creating a whole lot of fucking craziness and bloodshed. It was awesome. So, like, that was really interesting. That was really cool. Another big thing is, in order to figure out where the Necronomicon is, because they figured that some kids took it, those kids had took it, and so they're figuring that with this party, that will attract them there. And in the midst of all this, they're still butting heads. Ash's dad and him, they're still butting heads over the fact that he's called Ashy Slashy, and everybody thinks in the town that he killed all those people a long time ago, but really it was the Deadites. So in this episode, his dad goes into the bathroom, and a Deadite... the funniest scene of this week. He goes into the stall with this chick, right? This skinny, young-looking thing. And, like, he's thinking he's going to get something in the bathroom, right? And then she turns out to be a Deadite. And then Ash kicks in the door with a chainsaw and then kills her. And then he finally, after all these years, finally understands what Ash has been up against. And then at the end of the episode, and the reason why it's number 5 this week is we got the big WTF. His dad dies at the end of the episode. They're having this touching moment, and a car just hits him out of nowhere, which it looked like the Delta, the Delta that's been inhabited by the Necronomicon. So this was a big week for vehicles. Now let's get to Titan number 4. Titan number 4 this week goes to Luke Cage. Out of all the shows this week, I think that was one of the ones where I was really excited for, and I was really excited to see where it went. And not only that, the episode was splendid. I give it a 9.5 this week because it really stepped up his game. For those who haven't been watching Titans of TV, this week is episode 3 of Luke Cage. And in this episode, this is shortly after Pops dies. So the barbershop is about to get closed down. It's about to get put away. The bank's going to foreclose on it. And Luke Cage is like, all right, I'm taking down Cottonmouth. So in this episode, it was such great character development because now he's on this journey, this hero's journey, where he's going to go out and he's going to start taking down the bad guys. He's going to start making a difference in the world. And I'm so excited to see where it goes. And single-handedly, in this episode, Cottonmouth has these different, like, money spots. And he just goes in there and just clears them all out. And Cottonmouth's freaking out. He's like, oh, all my money's gone. And his sister's like, relax, we're going to get this under control. And all the while, one of the police officers, or one of the detectives, he's got in his back pocket. And he goes and tells him, hey, listen, Luke Cage is doing this. So it'll be interesting to see in the next episode what Luke does about all this. He hasn't got a suit yet. I'm still waiting on that. But we're starting to see this call to action. So much good stuff in this episode. And that's why I put it number 4. Now, Titan number 3. Titan number 3 this week was Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow picks up off last week where they ran into the JSA. And the JSA, they have this hostility with both teams at first because they don't really believe what they're talking about, time travel and all this nonsense, and then they take them on the Wave Rider. And this whole episode was about after Victor Garber's character, Martin Stein, which Martin Stein, I've been itching to say this week after week, Martin Stein is a savage. Out of all my shows, I think Martin Stein is probably one of the most savage characters because he'll tell it the way it is, he will do it the way it is. But this week, he was put in charge as leader, and he pretty much dropped the ball because he was overthinking it. And in the midst of all this, they're trying to come to terms with the JSA, what's going on, and by the end of the episode, Sarah Lance ends up taking the reins as leader now, and now she will be the leader of the Legends of Tomorrow. So, and also at the end of the episode, we got Citizen Steel. So, 9.5, really great episode. It was just it wasn't as good as last week. Last week was explosive. This week was good, but it just wasn't as good as last week. So, let's get to Titan number 2. Titan number 2 this week goes to Arrow. I really gotta do something about it. Seriously. Alright. So Titan Titan number 2 this week was Arrow. Arrow, all 3 weeks in a row, Arrow is just hitting it out of the park, man. This is the type of Arrow that I have been waiting for years, feels like. Season 3 should have been this. And I said this at one point in the episode, like, this is the way Season 3 should have been. This is the way Season 4 should have been. Okay? It's been 2 years, but alright, I'll live with it, you know? So in this week's episode, Oliver's training the team more. He wants them to kind of watch what he does, look from the cameras, kind of see what he's doing out there, and he's really trying to build team cohesion. So a lot of character development on Oliver's part, handling both mayoral responsibilities and responsibilities as the Green Arrow. Also this week, Diggle's flipping out after being put in jail for falsely accused of stealing this nuclear device. Now he's been put in jail, and being in jail, it's starting to fuck with his head, which I believe it has partially to do with Barry fucking up the timeline. Thanks again, Barry. Also this week, along with him handling that, we got Cody Rhodes, or Stardust. Stardust was the big bad, the big villain this week. So it was really cool to see him make the jump from WWE into the small screen. And I thought his character was really good, and especially Wild Dog is the one that pushes him over into this pit of like chemicals and whatnot. And that's what turns him into like this almost superhuman crazy man. And so in the end, you know, Arrow does take him down, and they do stop his whole drug ring. He's pushing this new drug called Stardust, which a play on words because of his WWE character. So the episode was a 9.5. Great character development. The story was amazing. We're continuing to get new stuff every week. And out of all the shows so far, Arrow, it's consistent. It's just blowing out of the water. It's amazing. Now, let's get to our number one, our Titan of TV this week goes to none other than Supergirl. Now you're going to ask yourself, why Supergirl? Because Supergirl hit it out of the park. Yeah, it was like, let me put it like this. Last week's episode of Supergirl was like a home run. This week's episode of Supergirl was a grand slam home run. Okay? I give this a 10. I don't give 10s to shows very often, but it did deliver. And after I watched the first episode last week, I was like, I don't see them upping it. I don't see them going above it and doing more. And they did. Another episode, we got Superman. Also in this episode, we got to see Martian Manhunter in action. And we got two Metallos. Not one Metallo, but we got two Metallos in both National City and in Metropolis. Also, we had some more conflict going on between Superman and Martian Manhunter. They're really butting heads on this whole kryptonite issue. And it's because there was a mole inside their operation, the DEO, and there was one of these moles that was pushing all this kryptonite to Cadmus in order to create these double Metallos. So at the end of the episode, they end up on two fronts, bringing in backup and stopping the Metallos. And at the end of the episode, Clark has to go on his way, and he takes the kryptonite with him. And because of this, it really patches up things between Martian Manhunter and Superman. So I thought that was really amazing. The other thing that was really good was the character development. The character development on Kara this episode was really good. This is her first day, or her first week, being a reporter, and she's got to rise above the struggles of being a newbie as a reporter. And it's her standing up for herself, and it's like Kat said, owning her power. And I'm loving Supergirl. I mean, I know last year on Titans, I know I talked some shit about Supergirl, but this year they've really come to the table. They're really doing an amazing job. And especially next week's episode, Miss Martian shows up. So that'll be really interesting to see. Now, let's get to the funny scene of the week. The funny scene of the week, like I had said a little bit earlier in this video, goes to Ash vs. the Evil Dead. The scene where Ash's dad and this chick go into the bathroom, and then she ends up turning out to be a deadite, and the scene was just I can't even. It was too funny. It was too hilarious, and it was really good. Now let's get to the fight of the week. The fight of the week, in my opinion, I thought went to Supergirl. I thought the fight with there's two fights with Superman on one end, Supergirl on the other end, taking down two Metallos with Martian Man. I thought the fight was really, really good. Now the other shows, they had good fights, I will admit, but I really think they stepped up their game fight-wise as well. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. My name's Spike Von Shadow. Tune in next week when I'll be adding The Walking Dead. We're going to get the season premiere of The Walking Dead next week. Also, more Justice Society of America on Legends. Jesse Quick is going to be in full costume on The Flash. We're going to find out what happens when Goku and Vegeta go back to the past and handle Black Goku and Zamos. We're going to see more character development from Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and so much more. So tune in next time. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm Spike Von Shadow. Thank you so much. Have a great